Hello everyone, my name is Mike and this is the Bored Cyborg. Welcome back to yet another episode of What's in the Bag, which is essentially a movie collection update where I go through the DVDs, Blu-rays, and VHS that I've picked up over the last couple of weeks and kind of go through them one by one, discuss why I picked them up, and why they're now a part of my collection. So, let's dig right in. The first film up is a Hong Kong film, I thought starring Chow Yun-fat, since he's plastered on the cover here, but it's one of those situations, you know, like with Jackie Chan, they plaster him on the front, they plaster a 90s version of Jackie Chan on a late 70s movie and say that it's starring Jackie Chan. That's sort of the case with this one from what I've read. Chow Yun-fat is in it, but he has a very small... From what I understand, he has a very small part, like 2 scenes according to the Letterboxd reviews that I checked out. But it's supposed to be a really good Hong Kong crime action film. It's directed by Billy Chan, and I really don't know too much about it, but anytime that I see a Hong Kong crime action thriller kind of film from the late 80s, I believe this one's 87. Yes, 87. So I have to pick it up just because I love that time in Hong Kong cinema, you know, the mid-80s to mid-90s, that sort of era in Hong Kong cinema. So this is a Code of Honor. Chow Yun-fat is in it, but like I said, just kind of a supporting role. But looking forward to it. So the next one up is a John Huston film. This one really caught my eye at the flea market I was at. Obviously, it's in this beautiful pink color here. And again, it's a John Huston film. I do like the man's work. He's one of the greats in terms of directing and even acting. He was a big actor at the time as well, over many decades. So, Night of the Iguana. Don't know much about it. It says it's based on a production of Tennessee Williams, the old playwright. And I'm sure he did some scripts. But yeah, so this one, don't know much about it. I know it's some sort of a weird mystery, thriller, or mystery type of film. Let's see who's in it. Richard Burton, Ava Gardner. Fun fact, I currently live in Smithfield, North Carolina, and Ava Gardner was born here. That's our claim to fame, and that's really all we've got. Deborah Kerr, Sue Lyon, and I really like the title here. It looks very Saul Bassian, like Saul Bass did it. 1 man, 3 women, 1 night. Sounds like a good time. Next up is a film that I saw when I was very young, probably around 10 years old when it came out, Detroit Rock City. For some reason, the film has stuck with me, certain scenes and just the vibe of the film. And I do want to check it out again. I haven't seen it since it came out in the late 90s. I think it was 98, 99. Yeah, 99. I don't remember too much about it, but again, I remember certain scenes. Now, it involves a group of kids that are going to see Kiss, I believe in the early 80s or mid-80s or something like that. And I'm not a big fan of the band Kiss. Not my thing, that party rock kind of shit. I'm not a big fan. But I want to give the film another chance. I'm kind of nostalgic for it in a way. I watched it with my father and mother, back in the late 90s. So, Detroit Rock City, picked it up. I love that cover. That cover always stands out to me. It's very, I don't know, it's very 80s looking. So, yep, Detroit Rock City. The next one that I picked up, I really don't know too much about it. It's called War Dogs. Now, the reason why I picked it up, it was 69 cents at Goodwill. It stars Jonah Hill, Miles Teller. I don't really know much else about it. So, Alright, Kung Fu Panda. Picked this one up for a couple reasons. One, I would like to see these films. I haven't watched them yet. I hear that they have a lot of homages to old martial arts films. But the main reason I picked it up is because Jackie Chan voices one of the main characters. I believe the master. A Kung Fu master of some sort. Adding it to the Jackie Chan collection, essentially. So that's Kung Fu Panda. I now own 1 and 2. I believe there's a 3rd one. I think that's it. I think they're doing some other spin-offs now or something. But yeah, Jack Black as the titular Kung Fu Panda, I'd imagine. And yeah, Kung Fu Panda. Looking forward to checking these movies out. There's some DreamWorks movies that I have neglected over the years, and that's unfair considering how big of a martial arts movie fan I am. So, Kung Fu Panda. Next one I picked up, what a random one. I came across this one again at a flea market or pawn shop, and it's called The Dimension Travelers. This is a late 90s, I believe 98 or 99, Japanese sci-fi film written by the screenwriter of Perfect Blue and Cowboy Bebop. His name is Sarayuki Murai. So, I don't know much about this. The image on the back really captured my imagination. Let it focus there. It's very dystopian. It reminded me of Blade Runner, to be quite honest. Looking forward to The Dimension Travelers. It doesn't have... I couldn't find much information on it, really, and that usually signifies that it's a nice obscure film to add to the collection. So, The Dimension Travelers. Next one is a film that I am very fond of. I've seen once or twice, I believe twice. And that is The King of Comedy, starring Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis, directed by the great Martin Scorsese. Now, the new film Joker, that's coming out soon, as of recording this video, starring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, which is sort of an origin story. DC's trying some different things, which I'm really excited to see because what they've been doing hasn't been working too well. Joker is being compared to this film, Joker is being compared to a lot of Scorsese films, in particular, King of Comedy. I'm really having trouble with this title right now for some reason. That's not the reason I picked this up. You know, I've had it on DVD forever, but I found the Blu-ray for, I believe, $2, and I had to add it to the Blu-ray collection. One of Scorsese's underrated films, one of De Niro's best performances. I know that's tough to say in a career where he's had so many great performances in the 70s and 80s, and 90s, of course. And up till now, he's not doing as much. The Irishman, though. Can't fucking wait for The Irishman. Scorsese, Pesci, Keitel, De Niro, Pacino. Can't fucking wait. Anyway, King of Comedy is a great film that really... It's evocative in ways that not many films are. You know, you feel this immense sympathy for this character, this broken man who lives with his mother, who... you know, just wants bigger and better things in his life. You could really compare it to Taxi Driver in a lot of ways, but it's such an uncomfortable movie to watch. It just leaves you uneasy and awkward. It's a very awkward movie, and I really dig those films that could just make you feel that secondhand embarrassment for a character. It means it's doing something right. And Jerry Lewis is fantastic in this, basically playing a characterized version of himself. Really looking forward to checking this out again on Blu-ray. I'm sure it's a great transfer. So, King of Comedy. There we go. The next one up I was excited to add to the collection for only a couple bucks. That is X-Men Apocalypse. This rounds out my X-Men live-action film collection. I now own all of the ones up to this point. And I really like this box. It's a little screwed up on the back, which sucks, but I really like the gray box here with the little X at the top instead of the Blu-ray symbol. Really cool. I don't see things like that too often, so that caught my eye. I actually like this film. This film got a lot of shit when it came out because it's really because First Class and Days of Future Past were so damn good. This one isn't quite up to par. Bryan Singer does come back to direct this one, and I like this one basically because a whole bunch of fucking people die. I mean, more people die in this movie. It's just mass destruction created by Apocalypse, who I believe was played by Jason Isaac. Wow, no. Oscar Isaac. Different actors. And I like the scale of it. I like the widespread mayhem and chaos that sort of was inherent in this film. And, yeah, you've got all the characters coming back, you know. You can't go wrong with the X-Men movies. They're just fun comic book movies. You know, I really do enjoy them. So, looking forward to the next one. I know they're doing the Phoenix Saga next, which, you know, I'm a big fan of the X-Men animated show from the 90s. Big fan. I think it's one of the best animated shows ever. And the Dark Phoenix Saga from that TV show was fantastic. And I doubt they're going to do it as good. And I'm not too familiar with the comics, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see. So... X-Men Apocalypse, really glad to add this to the collection. Rounds out my X-Men live-action Blu-ray collection. Cool. Next one is pretty cool. So I picked up the DVD version of this film, Split Second, and it's out of print, so I sold it to fund this Blu-ray collection, or this Blu-ray from overseas. This is a PAL version, PAL format, Region B, but I have an all-region player, which any collector has to have. Saves me a lot of money, I'll tell you, because certain films that are out of print in this country dirt cheap in other countries, and they have the English track most of the time. So make sure you check for that. But Split Second is a little underrated early 90s Rutger Hauer sci-fi action film. Takes some pages from Blade Runner. It's just very atmospheric. It's gritty. It's got some good action sequences, and I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember it definitely stood out to me, and I did enjoy it, so I want to give it another whirl. Great creature that didn't pop up really until the last act, but when it does, I mean, it's just total chaos, and it's pretty awesome. So that is Split Second, a little underrated Rutger Hauer film from the early 90s. Really like this movie. Glad to have it on Blu-ray. Next one up I got from the Disney Movie Rewards program. I collect points. I mean, I have so many frickin' points. Disney points that you could put into the rewards program. Sometimes when I'm out at flea markets, I'll slip the points out of the already used movie. I mean, half the time they're used up, but sometimes they're not. And I have gotten so many movies this way. So it's a fun little, maybe almost kind of sketchy hack to get some Disney movies. But recently Disney Rewards added some Marvel films, and I'm kind of filling holes where I can. So Ant-Man. I like Ant-Man. I think it's good. I think it's alright. Not my favorite Marvel film by a stretch. I think it had potential to be. Unfortunately, Edgar Wright exited the film due to creative differences, which unfortunately has happened a bunch with Marvel and DC and all these things, where true auteurs take a film, make it theirs, and then it's stripped away from them. You know, we saw this with Miller and Lord in the Star Wars Han Solo movie, which I really don't give a shit about anyway. That happened with this. Edgar Wright was pulled out, and what's the guy that came in? Peyton Reed. You know, Ant-Man is good. I do want to give it another whirl, but, you know, I'm a completionist. I need to have all of the Marvel films, and I do enjoy a good amount of them. So, Ant-Man, starring Paul Rudd, not a bad movie. Now, this one was really cool. Kind of took me by surprise when I found it. It's got a nice slipcover here. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I'm not a fan of the name. It's just a mouthful and unnecessary. Now, Martin McDonagh directed this film. He is most known for In Bruges, which I am a big fan of In Bruges. I love In Bruges, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. And, you know, it's a dark humor crime film. Very dark comedy crime film. And his follow-up film was Seven Psychopaths, which I'm not too fond of. I do want to give it another try, because it just hit me off guard. I wasn't expecting the sort of film that I got. It's one of those situations. So Seven Psychopaths, but this is another Martin McDonagh film, and I do want to see this one. This one got a lot of great talk. It's a crime film. I don't know much about it. I think it's got some mystery going on in it. It's got a great cast. It stars Frances McDormand from Fargo. It's got Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Glad to pick this one up. Got it, again, I think for $2. So, really cool to have this in the collection. Next one up, don't know much about, guys, but it's an late 80s martial arts film. Seems to be a late 80s female-led martial arts film called Catch the Heat. Catch the Heat. Martial arts, possibly female-led. That's why it's here. Next one was cool. I picked up, this is an alpha video release. They do really shoddy transfers, but they pick up a lot of obscure stuff from like the 20s, the silent era. And this is The Shadow Strikes from 1937. I just did a 4 forgotten superhero films from the 90s where I talk about the 94 film The Shadow, directed by Russell Mulcahy with Alec Baldwin. So this was really cool to run into recently, you know, after doing that video. And I'm interested in checking this out. It's probably really bad, but it's a very early superhero film, technically. So, from 1937. So, had to pick it up. The Shadow Strikes, starring Rod LaRoque, Scourge of the Underworld. Next one I picked up is a film by the Pang brothers, the guys who did The Eye, I guess most famously, Bangkok Dangerous. Now, this film was remade with Nicolas Cage in America, but I've heard that this one is superior. I've heard good things about the Nick Cage one, but I've heard really good things about this film, and it's supposed to be very fast-paced and violent and gritty, And so yeah, had to pick it up. Bangkok Dangerous. This is from the late 90s. Don't know much else about it, so we'll give it a whirl at some point. Oh man, I was glad to upgrade this. Now, I did show this one off in my DVD horror collection, but I upgraded here to the Blu-ray. The Cell. This is a Tarsem Singh film, who I think is an underrated visual director. He's got a very distinct visual style, very ethereal, very free-flowing, fluent. This one stars J-Lo, Vince Vaughn, and Vincent D'Onofrio. Very eclectic cast there. But this is a great film about dreams and nightmares and entering dreams. And it's got horror aspects and fantasy and sci-fi. All of that in one. My main problem with it is J-Lo in the lead. I just don't think she's great. I don't think she's a great actress. The Cell is a memorable movie. I'm looking forward to checking it out on Blu-ray. I've been wanting to rewatch it, but I refuse to do so on DVD because it is a very visual film. Again, Singh is just known for his aesthetic. He did films like The Fall and The Immortals. Films that are good in their own right, but just very visual. And I dig that. He's a visual storytelling master is a strong word, but he's damn talented at that. So, The Cell. Next one up, I found a bunch of these creature features, late 90s, early 2000s, Roger Corman-inspired creature features. This one is sort of a remake of an old Corman film called She Creature. That's why I picked it up. It kind of looks like it's going for the Species kind of vibe. Hopefully it's better than Species. I'm not a big fan of Species, but She Creature, again, don't know much about it. Sebastian Gutierrez, I definitely know that name. He wrote and directed this, so we'll see. I think it's supposed to have some great effects, Stan Winston Studio, so yeah. So I've been on a disaster movie kick as of late. I'm hopefully going to do a video on disaster films at some point, and so I ran into this film, and this just has all the ingredients to be something that I really enjoy. So the Hindenburg was a dirigible or airship or big-ass blimp that went down in the 30s. I want to say like 37 or something like that. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to speak out of my ass here. I don't know how it went down, why it went down. But hopefully the movie will shed some light and I could look it up, afterwards to see how accurate it was. I picked this up because it's a disaster film from the 70s, for one. Two, George C. Scott. Love George C. Scott. He's one of my favorite actors, one of my favorite old school actors for sure. Anne Bancroft is in this as well, and it's directed by Robert Wise, man. Robert Wise, what a diverse career that dude had. Star Trek the Motion Picture, Day the Earth Stood Still, The Body Snatcher. Obviously, he did The Hindenburg here. He did so many huge films, so many memorable films. The Haunting. He's turning into one of my favorite directors of all time. So I had to pick it up for all of those reasons. And yes, that is The Hindenburg. Hopefully this one is good. Hopefully this is a good disaster film. But with those ingredients, I find it hard to believe that it's going to be a failure in my mind. So we shall see. Next one up, I'm not going to talk about much because I don't know shit about it. But it's a short film called Harvey Crumpet. It apparently won the Academy Award for Best Short Film. Yeah, looks to be claymation, looks to be inspired sort of by the style of the guy who did Wallace and Gromit, who created Wallace and Gromit. His name's escaping me. He also did Pirates and Early Man and all that kind of stuff. So, ew, there's a hair. Next up, I think this may be a first for the show. I may have shown another VHS in the past, but anyway, I got a little stack of VHS here that I came across. And yes, I do pick up VHS when the film is not on DVD and not on Blu-ray and it's something that I want to see. Penitentiary 3 is one of those films. I do have Penitentiary, which is behind me here, right here, starring Jama Fanaka. It's a prison boxing film, exploitation, kind of grindhouse sort of film. So I have Penitentiary, don't have 2, which is on DVD, and now 3, which is not on DVD, but on VHS. So I picked it up for that reason. It's hard to find. I want to check out these movies. I hear they're really good prison exploitation kind of films. So yeah, Penitentiary 3 on VHS. Motherfucker. Next one I picked up, I'm a huge fan of the Blair Witch Project. Saw it when I was 11. Very, very fond memories of it. It scared me unlike any other film up to that point had scared me. I thought it was real, folks. I thought this was a real film. You gotta understand, this is the dawn of found footage. Of course, there's Cannibal Holocaust and The Last Broadcast, but This was my introduction to found footage. I mean, shit, even my parents thought it was real. So, of course, inherently, I thought it was real. And I didn't sleep for weeks. I slept on my parents' floor for weeks, in fact. And that is this weird sticks and stones and exploration of the Blair Witch Project. It's sort of like a behind-the-scenes mockumentary, and it's a Blockbuster exclusive. It's got Blockbuster plastered all over it. So, you know, it was 50 cents or something. So as a Blair Witch fan, a huge Blair Witch fan, I think the film is so underrated, by the way. I'd love to do a video on it. I still think Blair Witch is exemplary in terms of found footage films. So that is Sticks and Stones, this weird, really light VHS. It's probably really short. Yeah, it's 30 minutes. It's got this nice intact Blockbuster video sticker on it. Ah, nostalgia. Memories. Next up is a pair of VHS. They're pretty beat up in terms of condition, but I was so ecstatic to find these. Finally, I've been looking for these forever. I did not see this when I was growing up. I saw everything else related to the intellectual property that I could. That is the Turtles. So Secret of the Ooze was the first film I saw in theaters in '91. I was 3, and yes, I do remember it. That's how much of an impact it made on me. Anyway, this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their shells tour. This is supposed to be awful, cringy stuff, and I can't wait to check it out. It's basically the Turtles doing a whole bunch of songs as the Turtles, and it's called the Coming Out of Their Shells tour. So I picked that up. I picked this up. This is the actual Coming Out of Their Shells tour, featuring Shredder and Splinter. The complete bodacious live 90-minute stage show direct from New York City. Oh god, I wish I was there. Oh, I wish I was there. Anyway, that is that. And then also picked up the making of, I feel like I'm doing musical VHS here, the VHS of the Coming Out of the Shells tour making of. So, who knew? I didn't even know they had a making of, so this is going to be the behind the scenes of this apparently abysmal production that went on in 1990 in New York City. So I've got the tour, the full show, and the making of. And I can't wait to watch these guys. I can't tell you how excited I am to dust off the VHS player and check these out. Can't wait. That is the Coming Out of the Shells tour, the actual VHS, and the making of VHS. Oh, I was so excited to find these. Like I said, they're pretty beat up. This one's in better shape than the making of one, but you know, what are you gonna do? I mean, we've got Donatello with a keytar. We've got Michelangelo with a blue saxophone. Leo with a shredding guitar. Maybe a bass. Ugh. God. I can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait. So that is all that I picked up in the last couple weeks here, guys, on DVD, Blu-ray, and VHS. As usual, a very eclectic collection of movies here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell for notifications if you want to see more videos like this. I do reviews, I do lists, I do ranking videos, collection updates, collection overviews, all that good stuff, even like video journals, cataloging the films that I watched, you know, in the previous weeks. But anyways, guys, I will see you next time. Bored Cyborg, out. Alright, I'll stop.